A car that is 21,500 euro in Ireland, weighs less than 1,000 kilograms. These are some of the statistics that Suzuki have kind of surprised us with today. I reckoned this car was going to be affordable and competitively priced, but I'm genuinely blown away by the entry price, considering when you examine how well spec'd this car is as standard. Some of the safety stuff like blind spot is just on the car. There are six-figure cars I've tested on this channel that don't have blind spot. It has adaptive cruise control, which will keep up with the car in front. And not only that, Suzuki have done their research and got feedback from customers that the previous version, adaptive cruise control, the gap was too big and cars behind you were getting frustrated. So they've shortened the closest gap between you and the car in front, in line with other mainstream European brands. And it's like they've kind of checked all of the opposition and said, let's just better it in terms of standard spec, in terms of price. And if you buy one of these before the end of June, they're doing 0% finance on it, and with a fairly small deposit, you can have this car for a little over 200 quid a month or 50 quid a week. So there's a lot in such a small car. Let's take a further look here on Nobby on Cars. Welcome to Bordeaux, by the way. It's lovely. Dimension-wise, it's not even 4 meters long. It's actually 20 millimeters longer than the third generation Swift, but the boot stays the same, so it's 265 litres, which is the exact same size as the previous version of the car, but they've made the interior, particularly in the rear, more spacious. You've got lots of room for knees and feet, and two adults. You'll fit 4 full-size adults in this car without any issue. The end result is you have a fairly decent sized boot, 265 litres, a little bit of storage down below the shelf in the floor, small boot lid, you've got a light shopping hook, and when you drop the seats, which can easily be done from the boot or you can walk around, you've got this 60-40 split. So if you do need to put larger items in the back and there's only you or a passenger in the car, you've got loads of space there as well. They've also made the aerodynamic quality of the car a little bit better. Some designs over the arches have changed slightly. All versions are mild hybrid technology, 1.2 petrol engine. You can get it in manual, you can get it in CVT, and there's just 2 trim options, Motion and Ultra. But to be honest with you, the standard car has so much on it, I don't even know if you need to do the extra 1,600 euro walk to get the higher spec version of the car. While I mentioned this being the 4th generation and 2004 since we got the 1st gen of this car, actually in Europe the Swift has been around for 40 years. And Suzuki have mentioned that quite a bit today. They've got a lot of experience when it comes to making small cars. And here's something else. The Micra, gone. Ford Fiesta, gone. Yes, there's still the Skoda Fabia, the Volkswagen Polo, but this small B-segment car space is getting smaller and smaller. And Suzuki have spotted an opportunity there by saying, well, there's going to be a lot of people that are coming to the end of their ownership of their current car, looking to replace it, but realizing I can't get back into the car I've had for the last 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever years, because it doesn't exist anymore. And they're saying, here's the Swift. And we have over 40 years experience of making small cars, so trust us. And while this 1.2 mild hybrid is 100 brake horsepower and very, very fuel efficient, EVs are on Suzuki's radar. But it's just interesting to watch from a Japanese perspective with massive sales. Like India is a huge market for Suzuki. And just to see that they're not there yet when it comes to ploughing ahead with EVs. They do have a new EV model coming next year in Europe, but you got the sense today that petrol was still very much on the Suzuki radar. Bit of marketing speak that we were given today, but they said when you get into the new Swift, it will uplift your mood. And well, compared to the last version, that's probably a little bit true if you're in the back of the car, because due to the 20mm longer wheelbase, you've actually got a nice bit of space back here, space for your feet, knees, and then further cutouts at the back of these seats. Head height is quite acceptable. No armrest, wouldn't expect it in this segment of car. bit of a hump in the floor, but the entry point, width of the doors, and just this general feeling of, actually, do you know what, this is not bad for space. And the shoulder height of the doors should keep kids happy. And also the door handles of this version of the Swift are now here. They were in the pillar, the last model, which again, for smaller people who couldn't reach, it was a little bit frustrating to get in and out of, especially in. It's had a serious lick of paint. For example, this platform now of software is very different, very modern, nice colours. It was all quite white and the graphics were crisp in the last versions, but yeah, it needed that. It has wireless CarPlay. To connect with a cable, you'll need to use USB-A. With a 5-speed manual gearbox in here and a handbrake. And the steering wheel is still quite reminiscent of previous versions of the Suzuki. Quirkiness, needles in here, but then you've got your center instrument display, which is full color and good graphics. The interior has also had a bit of an update. The door cards and part of the dash now have this nice texture to it, and there's a bit of kind of fake looking brushed aluminium, whatever you want to call it, and it just brightens up the interior quite a bit. And yes, the black durable plastic is there, but it's nicely broken up with the different colors going on. I'll get into it on the drive, but if you're trying to get rid of the beeps and bongs when you're driving due to European regulations, the old style little twisty black columns are still here. You push in the one on the right and that will help you disable speed sign warnings, driver attention warnings, but they're not contained in this part of the car, which for the first part of the drive today, we weren't aware of that. So we had to kind of get a little bit frustrated with all the beeps, but not Suzuki's fault. Kind of Big Brother style European regulations causing that. Seats are comfortable. Yes, it would be nice if there was an armrest, but all in all, a very premium, classy place to sit. Good mix of physical stuff and the screen. And yeah, it's just a solid, honest little car. From a driving point of view then, if you're reversing, you get sensors and you get a reversing camera as standard on the car. That's another point that Suzuki made today, just in terms of comparing this car with other B-segment vehicles. If you get your car serviced at a Suzuki dealer, they'll extend the warranty each year you get it serviced up to 7 years, and that covers everything. They've made the body of the new Swift more rigid, which has resulted in less body roll. And certainly when you're going around corners, you notice that. From a transmission point of view, you get a CVT automatic gearbox if you wish. Standard is manual. That comes in 5-speed, not 6. And you get a physical handbrake for the car. Also, I forgot to mention in the back, the keep fit are now gone. You get electric windows in the back of the car as standard. Fuel economy, this hybrid car is going to deliver 5.5 litres per 100 kilometres. Kind of typical of what you'd expect from a petrol hybrid. If you take it really easy, you'll probably get around 4. So it's not particularly thirsty on juice. Again, the whole aim of this car is to be something that you can run affordably, that just happens to be fun to drive at the same time, which is true. It has 100 brake horsepower, but weighs just less than 1,000 kilos. So there's actually a lot of power to weight going on in this car, and even going into corners and coming out of them again the other side, it handles very well. That body roll is minimal, and it's just nippy, you know. From a set of lights, it's nippy. Overtaking, it has enough torque. It's a 3-cylinder engine, so yeah, it can get a little bit noisy under hard acceleration, but really when you're ticking along at 80, 100 kilometers an hour on the motorway, there's no obvious noise. There is an all-wheel version of it available if you're watching this in the UK. It's not coming to Ireland. Sorry. Plenty of low-down torque also in the car, so even if you wanted to go from 50 kilometers an hour in fifth gear and you want to accelerate away from that, yeah, it's not the quickest progression of speed, but you don't actually need to drop a gear. You can just leave it in fifth and it will catch up over time. Body roll really is noticeably better though, and for any sort of car of this size, not just comparing it to the previous Swift, it's very good. I would like an armrest there just as you're cruising along, especially with the now standard adaptive cruise control. It would be nice just to be able to rest the elbow or the arm down there as you're eating up the kilometers on the motorway. You should also, by the way, get a range of about 500 kilometers before you have to fill this up. So a great little handling car, fun car. It's light, it's nimble, it's agile, gotta be easy to park, should be easy on fuel, wireless CarPlay, heated seats as standard in the front of the car. There really is a lot going for this Suzuki Swift, and then you remind yourself of the price, and it's really very hard to argue with all those points when cars are getting bigger, they're getting more expensive. This is just a little nugget in the small B segment of vehicles, and I've been really impressed. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of value. This is, I wouldn't say a niche space that they're now in, but no liberty's been taken here. Like, you could argue with less competition, they didn't have to throw the kitchen sink at the standard spec in this car, but that's exactly what they've done. And it's a bit of a hoot to drive, despite being a small 3-cylinder, 100 brake horsepower engine. But actually, it's perfect. Time for my summary of the all-new Suzuki Swift. There are very few cars on the market today at this price that deliver so much from a safety point of view, from an interior space point of view, and just affordability. The world, in my opinion, is still very much crying out for smaller city cars, cars that fit in parking spaces, cars that fit down country lanes. The car hasn't got wider over the previous generation, it has just got a little bit, 20 mils, longer. It's one of these honest as the day is long cars, and it's actually quite fun to drive, and it really ticks an awful lot of boxes. If you're in your early 30s, Suzuki are really targeting you, but empty nesters, you know, will work for this. The boot is not going to take buggies and all that kind of stuff, but if the kids are a little bit older and you want to downsize and you've had enough of your SUVs and your Tucsons and your Qashqais, you want something that's cheaper to run, cheaper to buy, there has never been a better time to consider the Suzuki Swift. Let me know what you think of this new car in the comments down below. If you order one soon, you'll get it at the end of April, but I get the sense that Suzuki are really going to push on from a July onwards point in terms of getting huge interest in this car. So just about to launch in Ireland. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.